as your timekeeper for today's presentation session. So before we start, I would like to read the rules and regulations that need to be complied during the whole event. For the first one, the time allotted for the presentation session is only 15 minutes. Number two, the time allotted for the question and answer session is 5 minutes only and starts when the presenter starts responding. Number three, the panel can only start asking questions when the presentation session has ended. Number four, the bell will ring once in the 10 minutes of the presentation and twice in the 15 minutes the presentation marking the end, and the question and answer session will begin. And number five, questions from the panel of assessors should take precedence over other panel. So now let's start the ceremony with the first presenter from Nurul Izzah binti Abdul Rahim from Tesson 1 to present the presentation.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning I bid to the panelists and the audience. So my name is Nurul Izzah binti Abdul Rahim from Tesson 1. So I am under the supervision of Dr. Sakia. So I will present to you my research title, which is Teacher Training Perception towards the use of graphic novels in the teaching of language arts. So moving on to the background of the study, there are a lot of primary school students with low self-esteem, low confidence, and low motivation, especially among the low performance students. When it comes to the English subject that they learn in school. So when they were asked why they have low confidence and motivation, most of them would say that the subject is hard for them and the subject is difficult for them to understand. So in other words, the English is rather alien subject for them. Therefore, graphic novel is one of the initiatives that was used to overcome the issue in order to motivate people to learn English better. Graphic novels were introduced in the upper ESL primary classroom via KSSR, which is the Year 4, Year 5, and Year 6. For the Year 4, we have the Jungle Book. Year 4, the Gulliver's Travel, and the Year 6 is the Wizard of Oz. So this is believed to be one of the initiatives taken by the Ministry of Education in order to elevate the Malaysian students' proficiency level through implementing literature components such as through the songs, poems, and graphic novels are also included in one of the literature components. Moving on to the problem statement, there are a lot of educators who seem reluctant to use the genre, which is the graphic novel, in their classroom, although they believe that graphic novel has a lot of benefits to their class. Although there are some of the teachers who were keen to teach graphic novel in their classroom, the unfamiliarity towards the genre made them reluctant to do so. This is because lacking the skills to explore the visual designs of graphic text was one of the main reasons for their hesitation. This is because in order to read the graphic novels or comics, for English and Malay, they have to read it from right to left according to the arrangement of the speech bubble. And graphic novel also included onomatopoeia such as the boom, crack, and etc. Okay, moving on. The study is conducted to statistically analyze the teacher training perception towards the use of graphic novels in the teaching of language arts in the primary schools in Malaysia. Next, I have two research objectives for my research. Firstly, to investigate teacher training perception towards the use of graphic novels in the teaching of language arts. Secondly, to find out the difference between male and female perception towards the use of graphic novels in the teaching of language arts. And I have two research questions. Firstly, what are the teacher training perceptions towards the use of graphic novels in the teaching of language arts? While the second one is there any significant difference between male and female teacher training perception towards the use of graphic novels in the teaching of language arts? Okay, next. This research will be helpful for the teacher trainees and their trainers. So this is because the questionnaire included will become the tool to improve their teaching skills, which is the teacher trainee teaching skills in their class in order to provide better quality of education for the clients. So in this case, it was referring to the primary school students. And then I am focusing on these three past research. First of all is from the Catherine blog 2013. A survey that was conducted in the Northern Iowa in USA to ascertain the teachers' disposition towards graphic novels as quality literature and the rationale for their beliefs and attitudes. And from the findings, the respondents, who are the teachers, range from 20 to 60 years old, agreed that graphic novels are beneficial to the students, although they seldom use it. And most of them also stated that even though they are willing to, most of the respondents also agree that they are willing to use graphic novels if they were trained to use the state genre. And then the second research is the local research by Susa Rani Rajendra 2015 on the advantages of graphic novels as a beneficial supplement in Asian schools. So the finding shows that graphic novels are indeed able to give support for different learning styles. So speaking in terms of multiple intelligences, graphic novels are able to support the visual spatial learner, interpersonal and intrapersonal learners, and many more. Secondly, graphic novels are able to help struggling students because graphic novel has the illustration, speech bubble, and the onomatopoeia. So they are able to grasp the plot better with the help of the illustration and the speech bubble. Thirdly, graphic novels are able to promote the reading of other genres among the learners. For example, the teacher can give the graphic novel version of Wizard of Oz to the students before later on giving the text with less illustrations to the students. Then the third past research is also from the local research, which is by Suryani Muhammad Yusof et al. 2017, which is a survey to explore the challenges the teacher trainees face in teaching graphic novels to primary schoolers in Negeri Sembilan. And the findings shows that the respondent agreed that graphic novels are successful to entice pupils into reading and also able to improve students' mood and motivation. So this research adopt the quantitative approach, which is the survey design. And for the population and the sample for this research is the teacher trainees from PISMP, TESOL, June 2018, which is located in IPG KDRI in Kuala Lumpur. The sample size is determined based on Christie and Morgan sample calculation using the sample size definition table. So as the population is 97 teacher trainees, therefore the sample size is 78 teacher trainees. Next. The instrument used for the data collection is online questionnaire with closed-ended items from that are using the Likert scale from 1 until 5, starting from strongly disagree until strongly agree. And the online questionnaire was adapted into the Google Form application before being distributed to the respondent through the WhatsApp in order to avoid physical contact, especially in the current pandemic COVID-19. Therefore, even the teacher trainees who are positive to COVID are able to answer my survey regardless of the time and place. And the questionnaire was adapted from two past researchers, which is from Catherine Block 2013 and Melo Muhammad Yusof et al. 2011, which contains two sections, which is A and B, that have 15 items altogether, including the demography. And then the reliability for the questionnaire was proved to the Crombat Alpha, as I got 0.88 value for the Crombat Alpha, which is proved good. And then for the research procedures, I started with identifying the problems before reviewing the literature that are suitable to support the problems, and then starting to create the research question, research objectives, and hypotheses before I start using the research design, which is for this case is a survey, and then I move on to the selecting the sample before starting distributing the items to the sample, And then I started collecting data before processing and analyzing it through the SPSS application. And finally, I started the report writing. As for the data collection procedures, first of all, I adapted a few suitable questionnaires from the two past researchers before, and then into the Google form. And then I conduct a few discussions. And then I do a few discussions with my supervisor, which is Medusa. And then I get approval from her before I started to conduct the pilot test to get the combat alpha value. And then I started to distribute the questionnaire to the class representative to distribute the items to the actual sample, which is the 78 teacher training. And then lastly, the data was collected and imputed and analyzed through the SPSS application. As for the data analysis procedure, after transferring the data into the Google spread, before transferring into SPSS, the data were analyzed through two kinds of statistics, which is analysis and inferential statistics, in order to get the mean, standard deviation, and t-test digit for both of the RQ. I'm sorry, it's not analysis, it's descriptive. For the first research question, I use a descriptive statistic, and the second research question is inferential statistics. And moving on. So this is the data findings and discussion for research question 1. So here we can see on the table, in the table 6, that the teacher training, the mean for the teacher training perception is 4.19, which is considered high. And most of the items, which is 7 out of 11 items, got high mean value, which is more than higher than 4.01. And 3 out of the 11 items got low mean value. However, the low mean value shows that the teacher trainee agree that graphic novel in ASL classroom is practical, and they agree that graphic novel is suitable to both low and high achiever ASL learners. However, the S item shows that the teacher trainees agree that although the graphic novels have a lot of benefits, they agree that graphic novels is time consuming to be used in their lesson. Okay, next. The data findings and discussion for the second research question is proof to the t-test. So here we can see that from in the equal variances assumed, the significant value is 0.23, which is higher than 0.05. Therefore, when look at the significant to tail value, it is 0.53, which is higher than 0.05, shows that there are no significant difference between male and female perception. Okay. So the conclusion for objective 1 is the teacher trainees have a positive attitude towards graphic novel, as the mean score for the perception is 4.19. Meanwhile, for the objective 2, the alpha value is bigger than 0.05, therefore null hypothesis is accepted. Thus, this shows that there is no significant difference in male and female teacher training perception. And then we move on to the recommendation. I have 2 recommendations. First is to IPGM, is to have IPGM to provide specially designed courses in order to help teacher trainees to utilize graphic novels in their classroom, which also help them to explore various multimodal teaching methods. And for the future references, it is recommended that to include other genres in the research instead of focusing on one genre. So for my study, I'm focusing on the graphic novels. So for the future researchers, it is recommended to do some comparison between a graphic novel and other genres such as stories and feature storybooks in order to do the comparison between them. And then last but not least, the implication. This research has 2 applications to the teacher trainees and their trainers. For the teacher trainees, these research are able to give a better view for the graphic novel to the teacher trainees. For example, so therefore they should acquire necessary skills and knowledge in order to overcome the issue. For example, they agree that graphic novels is time consuming. Therefore, they have to acquire more skills in order to overcome the issue, which is took a lot of time. As for the lecturers, they are able to identify why some of the educators, which are the teacher trainees, are reluctant to use graphic novels in their lesson. Therefore, after that, they are able to improve their lecture on graphic novels in order to improve the teacher training skills in the utilization of the graphic novel. So they can use the genre in their teaching and learning better later on when they go to the primary school. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. The ceremony will now continue with a question and answer session. So please welcome Dr. Jalani and Hisham to ask any questions to the presenter.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Assalamualaikum and very good morning. So first of all, congratulations for the presentation of So here we can see that you study the protection of the teacher training towards the use of graphic novels in teaching English arts. Okay? And you have posted the two research objectives and the finding shows that towards the end, the protection is in positive. So my concern is, you mentioned just now that 3 out of the 11 items that you said shows low mean. So how you want to interpret the 3 items in the protection of the teacher training based on your survey?
Based on the 3 last item that has the low mean value, every low mean training disagree with that statement. And therefore, the 3 segments, this is item 9, 10, and 11 is the negative segment for the teacher training. Meaning, they disagree that graphic novels are only suitable for the low achiever or only suitable for the high achiever learners. Meaning that when they disagree with that segment, they agree that graphic novels are suitable to both low and high ELL learners. Meanwhile, for the last item, they disagree that graphic novel is effective. Meaning that they agree the opposite statement for the item.